47 Brawl Stars mechanics you need to know. And you might already know some of them, but I can almost guarantee you that you don't know all of them. So let's go. Shelly's and Colt's supers can destroy walls, but they don't actually go through the walls. It looks like they can shoot through the walls because of how fast they shoot and because there are so many projectiles, but once a projectile from their super hits a wall, the wall breaks and that projectile disappears. And that means that the more walls you break, the less damage you'll deal to targets on the other side. If an enemy bow places his mines right on top of you because they like auto aim on you and for some reason you're standing completely still, they won't detonate if you stay in that same exact spot. The same actually goes for Tick's mines if he attacks from a long distance away. This probably won't help you very often, but I've actually seen this tip come in handy more than once when somebody needs to hang on to gems or just hold their bounty for a second or two. We've got some more tips to show, but I've got some really important questions to ask first. Are you looking for more meaning in life? A greater sense of fulfillment? Are you trying to achieve life satisfaction? If you're looking for a greater sense of well-being, today's sponsor has the solution. Raid Shadow Legends has over 600 champions you can unlock, thousands of items and artifacts to collect, and 6 different game modes to battle in. This game has a serious amount of content. Click the link below to download now. My favorite part of Raid Shadow Legends. Okay, it's gotta be opening up shards to get new champions, okay? There's so many different champions to collect and they all have different abilities, which means that unlocking new champions is always exciting. Even if you already have a champion that you get, you can sacrifice it to level up your favorite champions. And you're gonna wanna level up your champions to fight clan bosses because they are extremely hard to defeat. You compete against other members of your clan to see who can put up the best fights against these behemoths. And it's a little bit of a friendly competition because even if the boss defeats your champions, your clan members will see how well you did. You can also try to take on Raid's newest boss, the Hydra, which is super tricky to take out. Raid Shadow Legends also has a ton of events and tournaments being held every day this month. There's even a special Valentine's Day event where you'll be able to unlock a brand new legendary champion. If you download the game using my link, you'll receive 200,000 silver, an XP boost, an energy refill, an ancient shard, and a champion named Tyrell. Just check your in-game rewards in the inbox right here. So join the millions of other players who have achieved complete life satisfaction and start raiding today. And once again, I want to give a huge thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching. If you're playing Dynamite with his Dynajump star power equipped and Terra catches you in her super, throw some dynamite in the middle of her super and you'll hop out of it. You'll very likely be able to dodge some of Terra's attacks if she's not expecting it, and if you time it perfectly, you can even avoid the explosion in the middle completely. Now, Carl's pickaxe actually disappears if Carl goes through the teleporter while his pickaxe is away from him. Just letting you guys know so that you don't try to wipe a team by teleporting across the map. It doesn't work anymore. Push and pull abilities such as Jean's super will interrupt Nani's super and Meg's super, okay? Nani's super will actually disappear without exploding if she's moved in any direction while using it, and Meg's super will just completely be canceled and she will not hop into her mecha if she's moved while she's using it. Some other abilities that interrupt these supers are Em's gadget, Sprout's super, and Terra's super as well. Frank is the only brawler in the game that can use an ability while he is stunned, and that is his noise cancellation gadget. Since this gadget prevents him from being stunned, he can actually activate it while he's stunned for an immediate effect. Now, a lot of people think that Poco's protective tunes gadget can also be used during a stun, but it only prevents a stun if it's activated before he gets stunned. Different brawlers actually have different hitbox sizes. This means that although a lot of the brawlers look like they're the same size, some are actually a little bit easier and a little bit harder to hit than others. Crow has the smallest hitbox in the game and is smaller than Leon, whereas Frank has the biggest, which makes him easiest to hit. The lowest amount of damage that you can deal with a maxed out brawler is 60 damage from Lou's super. This might not seem very important, but Lou's super used to not do any damage at all, so this is actually pretty solid because it prevents enemies from healing inside of it. Now here's a tip for Showdown. The in-game camera isn't 100% top down. It's not angled perfectly like that. It's angled a bit further back, which means that you can actually see a little bit further up than you can looking down below your character. This means that you have a slight advantage in Showdown if you are below an enemy because you'll actually be able to see them before they can see you. And that means it's generally a good idea to make your way toward the bottom of the map when you can. Bo has 2 different types of attack patterns based on the direction that he's moving while unloading a shot. If you want to make your arrows more likely to hit an enemy, then move Bo to the right while he is firing so that his shots will actually spread out. If you want them all to hit the same target, then move to the left while he's firing and they will all hit the same spot. This tip is also useful for brawlers like Leon and also Buzz. Barley is able to hit the Ike turret with his super without stepping into its range. On top of that, Tick, Grom, Spike, and Nani can also hit the Ike turret from a safe distance with using their main attack. You'll probably never have time to completely destroy an Ike turret just by attacking it from outside of its range, but this can be very useful if you need to deal some last minute damage or if for some reason the enemy team is ignoring you. Rico's super only deals damage to its target the first time that it hits. Even though his bullets can bounce through a target multiple times, the enemy will only take damage the first time each bullet actually hits them. This is especially important to keep in mind if you have his super bouncy star power equipped, since he'll deal a lot of extra damage if you hit a wall with his super before hitting your target. Nani's return to sender gadget deals damage to pets and not their owners. For example, if Tick uses his super and then the head explodes on Nani when she's using that gadget, the gadget actually won't deal damage to Tick at all because the head will just be gone, right? This means her return to sender gadget will also deal damage to Nita's bear, not Nita, Jessie's turret, not Jessie, and Penny's cannon, and not Penny, and also other pets as well. If Daryl uses his super at just the right distance, he can actually bump a brawler twice, even if he's rolling in a straight line. You have to be almost pixel perfect, but if you get really good at this, you don't even need to bounce off of walls, and this leaves the enemy pretty much helpless the entire duration of his roll, which makes it a lot easier for Daryl to take them out. Mortis is the only brawler in the game that does not have an attack cooldown. An attack cooldown is basically how long a brawler has to wait after firing a shot in order to fire another shot. And because Mortis has 0 cooldown time, Mortis has to be very careful around walls because he can actually unload all of his shots super quickly against a wall and completely waste his ammo. The winner in Heist is actually based off of a percentage and not the actual health of each safe. And because of the way that the game actually rounds the highest safe percentage up or down, the match can actually end in a draw even though they have different HPs. This doesn't happen very often, but some might say that this happens more often than it should. A perfectly aimed super from Crow deals 0 damage against brawlers, which is why you should be careful about auto-aiming the super onto a brawler. That being said, if a target is bigger than the brawler, auto-aiming is actually very good because all of the darts will hit it. If you're looking at an enemy Ash, you can look at the symbols next to his name in order to see how much rage he has. This is pretty obvious, but you can also look at the emotes next to him as well. As soon as Ash reaches his first rage level, these little angry emotes start to pop up all over his head. And when he reaches second rage level, little puffs of steam also start popping out as well. Now I'm going to show you guys how you can tell which star power an opponent is using against Sandy, Jessie, El Primo, and Piper. In order to tell what star power Sandy has, all you have to do is look at his super. There's either going to be a bunch of little plus signs inside of it indicating healing winds, or there's going to be little flakes whirling around indicating Rude Sands is being used. When Jessie places her turret, look at the bullets that it shoots. If they look like little mini versions of her regular attack, that means she's using Shocky. If they look like regular bullets, you can know that she's going to be able to heal up her turret. When facing against an enemy Rico, pay attention to the bullets after they bounce off of a wall. If they light up after they hit the wall, that means that he's using his super bouncy star power. This also applies to the projectiles in his super if they bounce off of a wall as well. Now this is pretty noticeable, but when El Primo is using his super, if El Fuego is equipped, he himself will be covered in flames while he is in the air. And if you want to know which star power Piper is using, pay attention to her ammo after she fires them from a bush. If they have a rainbow trail behind them, that means that she's using her ambush star power, and that's going to deal a lot of extra damage. If Byron hits an enemy while he's using his Malaise star power, you'll be able to tell that they will receive reduced healing if there's this red fade all over them. Grom's gadget does not work on Sandy's super or Leon's super, okay? It does reveal brawlers hiding in a bush, but if they are already invisible, then his super is not going to be useful for you. Brock's attack can reach 1/3 of a tile further than his reticle shows because the aiming reticle doesn't take the rocket's blast radius into consideration. So don't be afraid to try and hit enemies that seem to be just outside of his range. Nani is actually the brawler that can tank the most damage in the game, thanks to her Tempered Steel star power. With this active, she reduces all damage by 80%, and that's like she has 19,500 total health every time she uses her super. If you're playing as Bull or Daryl and you want to use your super on somebody, try to make sure you hit the target at the very end of your super. If you do this just right, you'll actually be able to attack the enemies while they're still being bumped into the air, and you'll be able to attack them before they can attack you back. Sometimes you can take out squishy brawlers like this before they even have a time to fire a shot. This is tricky to do, but Stu can actually charge his super twice with one shot because he fires 2 projectiles with each ammo, and each projectile charges up his super. You do have to have perfect timing, and it does help if the enemy is running away from you, but if you attack an enemy and you spam your super, there's a chance you might actually be able to get 2 off with just 1 ammo. Colette is the only brawler in the game that deals the same amount of damage from power 1 all the way up to power 11. As she levels up, the percentage of damage that she deals doesn't actually increase. The only only increase that she has with each power level is the minimum damage that her attacks deal, and then of course her HP. The Ike turret will hit brawlers like Piper even if they use a super to get outside of the Ike's range. Once that turret fires a shot at her, even if she uses her super to avoid it, it will wait for her to land and then hit her even if she's outside of the turret's range. This is also true for other brawlers that use abilities like this. The rockets from Brock's super land in the same pattern every time. It's like a 5-sided dice. It starts in the center, then it moves to the upper left, then upper right, then lower left, then lower right, then it repeats that for a second time. However, each of the sections of the pattern will get hit by 2 rockets except for one of the corners. If the Brock is on your team, the missing corner is to the lower right. But more important, if you're facing an enemy Brock, the pattern is mirrored, so the missing corner is in the upper left. So you're most likely to avoid super damage against an enemy Brock by moving toward the upper left in some situations. Sprout's attack range can be increased if you aim it just right. You can do this by aiming Sprout's attack on the far half of the wall at max distance, and that will actually force the projectile to land behind the wall, which will add a little bit of distance to its shots. However, if you aim on the closer half of the wall, it'll just land in front of the wall, so keep that in mind. Depending on where you're shooting the Brawl Ball from, the reticle has to have a certain distance over the goal line for the ball to actually go in. This is the minimum distance you can shoot the ball straight at the goal, and here's what your aiming reticle has to be if you're shooting the ball at an angle. Any further away and the ball won't go in. And normally, Ems is only able to hit a target 3 times if they're staying in one place with her attack. But if a brawler is moving away from Ems and she's in the right distance away, the enemy brawler will move with her attack, and that can actually deal damage to them 4 times before it disappears. On the flip side of things, if you walk toward Ems when she's firing an attack at you, you only get hit by it once. And this is why you never want to run away from Ems, you just gotta face her straight on. If you pay close attention to B, you'll actually be able to know if her next attack will be supercharged or not. She always has this little small buzzing bee around her, and if the bee is glowing or blinking, that means that she's holding onto a supercharged shot, so you better watch out. Piper's snappy sniping star power says that it reloads her shot if she hits an opponent, but it actually works against any unfriendly target, including a turret or even an enemy safe. As you probably know, Bull and Jackie charge their super whenever they take damage, but the amount of damage that they charge depends on how much damage they receive, not how much damage is actually dealt to them. I know that that sounds really similar, but this actually means that they charge the same amount of super even when they have their shield up. Now, once the countdown starts in a game of gem grab, most of the time only 2 gems will pop out before the countdown is over. But if one pops out right when the countdown starts, it's possible for 3 gems to spawn before the game is over, which can absolutely be enough to stop the countdown and get control of the match if your team happens to have 7 gems when this happens. Now, supers and attacks that have long animations can be interrupted by certain abilities. For example, Frank, Colt, and Rico all have supers that take a couple of seconds to use, and if you have any ability that pushes, pulls, or knocks back, you can actually use this to interrupt their supers. This is very obvious against Frank, but it also very much works against Colt and Rico. When playing Minecart Madness and Gem Grab, there's a way to know if the cart will start coming from the left or the right as soon as the match starts. When you spawn, if you see a little mushroom patch right here, the first minecart will always spawn on the left side. If you're on the side without the mushrooms, the first minecart will spawn on the right side. This is true 100% of the time, and that's why Supercell added them to the game. Now, if Colette has her push at star power equipped, she will push enemies away whenever she uses her super. However, if Mortis dashes just before Colette runs into him with her super, he will actually dash right through her even if she has this star power equipped. Keep in mind that Mortis will still take damage, he just won't get pushed, which means that he'll probably not get hit a second time. This is easier to do this with a long dash, but you don't actually need to be a long dash in order to make it work. Now, brawlers like B and Carl unload their shots very slightly faster if you time shots perfectly instead of just spamming your attack. Side by side, you can actually see that if you shoot right when the bar reloads, you'll actually fire your shot faster. It's kind of hard to tell if this is happening, and it does take perfect timing, so in my opinion, it's not really worth the risk to just try and shoot at just the right time. It's usually better just to spam your attack, but if you're a pro, this could be the difference between winning and losing sometimes. Now, most brawlers can't use their super and reload their regular attack at the same time, but Nani is an exception to that. Even when Peep is flying around, Nani's attacks will actually reload the whole time, and this is especially convenient since Nani has a really long-lasting super in the game and a slow reload speed. As an added bonus, she heals while supering as well. You want to be careful about cutting off your attacks short when using supers with brawlers like Rico, Colt, 8-Bit, Frank, and even Pam. A brawler super always has priority over firing off a regular attack, which means that if you activate your super while you're using your attack, the attack will instantly stop so that they can use their super. Brawlers that have really long-lasting attacks like Meg's Mecha or Pam's can actually be cut really short if you activate their super too soon, and sometimes that can lead to a lot of missed damage. Now, Nita's attacks can hit targets around walls. If more than half of Nita's shot is not blocked by a wall, the remaining area of her attack will still go through the wall and can deal damage to enemies on the other side. This is also true for brawlers like Ems, Poco, and Frank. It's just a little bit tougher to pull off than it is for Nita. The strongest single projectile in the game can be done by using Frank's irresistible attraction gadget, his power grab star power, boosted by Colonel Ruff's super, and 8-bit super with 8-bit's boosted booster star power. All these damage boosts give Frank a 340% attack damage boost, which is just ridiculous and just kind of funny to see. Now, additionally, 8-bit has the strongest full ammo in the game, with, of course, all the same damage boosts except for Frank doesn't get to help him in any situation. But instead, he gets to use his extra credits gadget to triple his projectiles. Hopefully you guys found these tips helpful or at least interesting. If you guys have other tech tips like this or just interesting things about the game that I didn't show in this video, I want you to record it and I want you to post it on Twitter and then tag me. You can also do it on Reddit and tag me. Just be courteous to your fellow Redditors. This is in no way meant to be self-promotion of my channel. You never know if your tip might just make it into a future video, okay? And don't forget to subscribe for that video when it happens right here. You can also subscribe for some Clash Mini content there, Free Fire content right there, and check out this video right here. I would really appreciate you guys using code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop to support my channel. And for now, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.